Louisiana All American Sports Show. 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 Louisiana. If it's sports you want to talk about, then listen to the hottest show that's coming out the South. It's Eric Hatfield and Coach Perry Daniels, man. They're going to sit you down and tell you all about the game and make it plain. 96.9 FM, that's the station to hear the best sports talk show in the nation. Without hesitation, you should get with this and get your popcorn ready, boy, you better not miss Louisiana All American Sports Show. Louisiana All American Sports Show. Louisiana All American Sports Show. Louisiana. It's Joker P.
It's me, I'm just so fresh, so clean. Good morning, Baton Rouge. Today is Saturday, January the 10th, 2015, and we are live here for another edition of Louisiana All American Sports on 96.9 FM, WHYR-LP, Baton Rouge Community Radio. Good morning, I am Eric Hatfield.
And I'm Gerard Piper.
And I'm Coach Perry Daniels.
Coach Perry Daniels joining us live from our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. So you know what that means, folks. It's going to be a full show today. And we will have Professor Terrell Johnson joining us in the not-so-distant future. It's a beautiful day outside, but a very cold day outside, which is all the more reason you should be inside. Crank up that radio and listen to us on Louisiana All American Sports. Some food for the brain and for the sports fan in you. So, gentlemen, I guess we'll start in the room. Piper, how goes it today, man?
Hey, just like you said, it's real chilly outside, but I'm feeling good and I'm pumped up and I'm charged and I'm ready to go, you know. And I'm just happy to have Perry in the house today, man. You know, it's been a minute. Where you been? What's been going on? Tell us something good.
I appreciate that, good brother, man. I've been listening to the shows, and you guys have done a fantastic job. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, I heard someone in the studio make the reference to Richard Pryor and his joke about good things there are prisons.
That will be me.
That was you, Aaron?
Yeah, thank God for penitentiaries. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Okay, you know what I thought? I was like, he's exactly right. Because we need somewhere to put these abusive police officers.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Basically. Hey, well, and so, yeah, you're not just whistling Dixie, my man. And, you know, they have special treatment. They're special members of society, and they will get special treatment once they are there at Club Fed. Anyway, enough of my crystal ball. Hey, it's the Louisiana All American Sports Show, and we had some great high school action that we had last week, actually. We had a doubleheader last week for the Louisiana All American Sports.com game of the week. We had some 4A non-district action on Tuesday as the Catholic High Bears traveled to the cage to face the Belaire Bengals. And last night we had a really good contest as the Southern Lab Kittens hosted the same Belaire Bengals at the F.G. Clark Activity Center, a.k.a. the Mini Dome, on the Southern University campus. Both were good prep basketball games to watch. I'll tell you, they're good contests. These kids really play hard, so if you have an opportunity to see them, it's a great value for your sports dollar. And hey, it's cold outside. You should be inside checking that out. But we had a chance to talk with Belaire Bengals coach Chauncey Moore early in the week prior to both contests. We talked a lot about the Belaire Bengals. I think this is an up-and-coming team in 7-4A to watch this year and next year. That team is, Rome wasn't built in a day, but these Bengals are being built up within a few school years. This is what Coach Moore had to say about his team before his run this week. Eric Hatfield for Louisiana All American Sports here with Coach Chauncey Moore of the Belaire Bengals boys basketball team. Coach, your team is off to 12-7 start, and district play is right around the corner. How are the kids looking, and what's your gut feeling so far?
We're working hard. Like I said, between last year's season and this year's season, I've seen so much improvement, growth. It shows in our record and our play. District is coming up. We didn't do too good in the parish tournament, but I think we got a lot of chance to take off after that loss and got us a chance to work on a few things and also give the kids a chance to get their legs back up on them. And our district's going to be tough. I just checked out the power rankings, and 4 of the 5 teams, excluding ourselves, are in the top 20. 3 in the top 10.
About some of the competitors that you have in district play?
Because Plaquemine won last year. They went 9-1. They beat everybody, swept everybody, and they lost. The only loss was to us in the end. So I don't think there's any big dog. You got to come play every night.
You have a benefit that a lot of coaches at the varsity level don't have. You have a lot of kids who have returned for this year. You have the benefit of having a lot of underclassmen.
And it's also showing when we're playing on the court there. Unity is there, and also the toughness on defense, because that's where we really hang our hat at, is playing a whole lot of defense.
Robert Lewis, anybody with a working pair of eyes can see that he can be imposing. Not having played a little bit of basketball before this year, he's obviously a work in progress. Talk about his development.
Well, Robert came to Belaire in January of last year. Everybody was talking about, coach need to put him on the team. I said, well, I don't put kids on at mid-semester unless they're D1 prospects. So I just wanted to give him a chance to work out. He came out the spring, tried out, and since then he's been a real work in progress.
So that was Coach Chauncey Moore on the Belaire Bengals. Robert Lewis is a first-year player, a junior, very tall kid, a menacing defensive player. This is a guy, we mentioned him a couple of times before on the show, that if he ever develops his fundamentals, he could be one heck of a basketball player. They faced Catholic High that night. They did lose by the final score of 48-39. We have a little in-game action. Joker and I both covered that. I think this little clip here probably summarizes the entire game. Lewis, that rattles off, no good.
Misses the first one again. Looks like he's 1 for 3 so far at the free throw line. He gets the ball again for the second shot.
And that rim off.
It rimmed off. Catholic High with the rebound. And here they come. Patrick Field pushes the ball up. He takes the ball, sets a pick. Goes around and swings the ball back over to Freeman on the wing. He surveys the court.
Francione with the ball. Looking, bounce pass down low. Giorlando right there at the free throw line. Kicks it out. The field's rejected by Joe Robillard. Good job. Terrence West kicks it out to Johnson, over to Johnson, and Johnson lets it up. Terrence Johnson lets it rip. And just like that, Catholic in a frantic scramble for the ball gets it back. Freeman tried to get a little too aggressive there, a little too cute, couldn't quite make it.
Here comes Johnson, all the way.
Tim Joe couldn't finish. Robert Lewis tried to get the rebound, no good. Now Catholic gets the ball.
And now Freeman with the layup.
I'll tell you what, if the name of the game was to bounce the ball off the backboard, we'd be running up a high score right now. But as it stands, Catholic puts the brisket in the basket, and all that running has resulted in 2 points. That summarized the whole game. All that running you heard for about that minute and 20 seconds resulted in 2 points. The Belaire Bengals are a team, like I said, 2 years ago, they only won 5 games, and they got to the playoffs last year. Now this year they look like they're trying to step it up. Defense is great. Offense needs some work. Joker, what were your observations? And Coach Daniels was actually an assistant on that team last year, so I'm sure he's chomping at the bit to get out some observations.
I see the same thing that you see. Robert Lewis is a great defensive presence down there. If he could be able to develop a little bit of offensive moves, he would really be good. He kind of reminds me of Mutombo in a sense, where he's great defensively. He can get rebounds. He's real active, but he's foul prone. And so if you're foul prone, you can't stay in the game long enough to try to make an impact. But if he's able to have a little bit more patience, develop some offensive skills, kind of build his body up a little bit, then he would, I think, would be a D1 talent for sure. Chauncey Moore, he's doing a good job. From what we've been covering him, I'm seeing them getting better and better every game. Now, last night against the Southern Laugh Kittens, he kind of lost his cool. He sounded cool on the interview. But last night, I think he got like 2 or 3 texts, and there were some questionable calls, and I don't really blame him. I think one of the texts was a little bit, questionable there. But
I heard octaves in his voice from across the floor. I never heard in my entire life.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think they're going in the right direction. So I see a lot of big things in the future for Belaire Bengals.
Coach?
Wow. So Coach got some texts last night.
He racked up 2 texts. Total of 3 in the game for the team. I think one was on the bench. Coach, I said during the broadcast, I don't think I've ever seen Coach Moore sweat in the 2 years I've been covering him. Whereas you saw the little wrinkles in his forehead, and we can hear him all the way. He was hot. He was in the official's grill. It was very un-Coach Moore-like, but like Piper said, he might have had some valid gripes.
Yeah, well, from being at 6 o'clock in the morning practices with Coach Moore. He can turn it from 0 to 60 in a matter of moments. So,
that's what we saw.
Yeah.
At 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise. Well, it does surprise me for this reason. Usually, as you stated, in game situations, he's as cool and calm as he can be, as one can be.
As cool as the other side of a pillow.
And I started to say that, but I didn't want to steal our thunder for later on in the show.
Right.
That's what literary artists call. That's what writers call foreshadowing.
Right, exactly.
Right. Good term for stealing.
As far as the team goes, though, let me say this: that Robert Lewis, unfortunately, offensive development comes during the off season, so we've missed that window. And what you currently see now is a lot of hard work by Coach Moore and the rest of the Belaire coaching staff during the summer to get him to the point to where he is now. So at this point, we have to accept him for the player that he currently is, which is a defensive presence. We've got to be able to keep him on the floor, though, because it limits shots for the other team. As Piper said, he's usually going to get the rebound if he's in the game.
That's right.
And he clogs up the middle of the lane, so you don't get a lot of penetration when he's in there. Here's my disappointment with that team. I'm still linked in to the coaching staff there. I review every game film. Coach Moore has me on the huddle account, and we dialogue from time to time.
Tell me what you see. What do you see? If you watch the game film, what are you seeing?
So here's what I'm seeing. That up into the Catholic High game, T. Johnson.
Now wait, which T. Johnson? They got two of them. Tim or Terrence?
Oh, not Tim.
Terrence. Okay.
Yeah, I'll come to Tim in a moment. But Terrence Johnson is a phenomenal athlete.
Yes.
And has the ability to score points in bundles. But he refuses, just based on his character, to take over games. That's just not who he is. But if Belaire is going to make a run at that district, Terrence Johnson is going to have to step up and take over some basketball games. Now Tim Johnson, he's the straw that stirs the drink.
Perry, I was about to say that, man. You've been hanging around me too long.
You're right on.
The little thought bubble in my head said exactly what you said.
But from time to time, Tim Johnson will force some bad shots. And part of that is due to Terrence West not stepping up and contributing offensively, and Tim Johnson realizing that Terrence Johnson can't do it all by himself, so someone has to do it. So they still have a shot at that district, which is a really tough district. St. Michael is a really good basketball team. Plaquemine is a well-coached basketball team. So, and Tara. Can't forget about Tara High. So it's just really going to be good. All four of them should make the playoffs, and it's going to be interesting to see where the seeding goes, and hopefully Belaire can get a home game in the first round of the playoffs.
They are definitely livened up at the cage. We also had the Belaire Bengals on the road as they went to the F.G. Clark Activity Center to face the Southern Lab Kittens last night. It's funny you mentioned Terrence West because in the clip we have, part of what you pointed out was highlighted. We had a chance to talk to Coach Devan Clark, first-year coach at Southern Lab. Very calm, cool, collective gentleman, but he's got these kids going the right way. Here were a few words he had to say about his team prior to last night's game. Eric Hatfield for Louisiana All American Sports. I am with Coach Devan Clark of the Southern Lab Kittens boys basketball team just a few minutes before tip-off for tonight's non-district game against the Belaire Bengals. Coach, I guess give the audience, a summary of the season so far for those who haven't had a chance to follow you yet.
Well, the season's been going, up and down season, and overall we've had some success.
You guys have a man's district. There's no getting around that. You got Christian Life. You got Kentwood. You have, the monster across town, Addison Prep. How are you getting your boys ready for them?
I mean, right now we don't want to overlook the Belaire tonight, so we kind of just taking it one game at a time. We just worried about playing well and being consistent and playing hard right now.
For folks who haven't seen the Kittens since last year, tell us about some of the key returning players and some new faces that, well, they might not be familiar with.
Right now, our seniors are doing a pretty good job. Jordan Booker and Sheldon Carroll has been, providing that spark and pretty much leading us throughout this season, and they've been doing a good job. There's some things that they can do well or they need to do more of in order for us to be successful down the road. But those two guys are pretty much our go-to guys right now.
What are going to be the keys to victory against Belaire tonight?
Belaire is a great, well-coached team, so we have to make sure we execute our offense and take care of the basketball if we want to win tonight.
And that was exactly what they did. They did take care of the basketball and execute their offense. Here was just a little blip that kind of gave you a taste of what Belaire and Southern Lab had to offer. They're going to kick it out to Robillard. Robillard looking. He finds Tim Johnson way over in the corner. Terrence Johnson down low to a wide open Terrence West. He waited too long, and it was rejected by Roderick Hayes. Here come the Kittens. Carr's pass broken up by Joe Robillard. He was trying to find Dexter Dennis, and once again the Belaire Bengals, they're not getting fooled. They're not getting caught a step behind. They are staying right with their opponent, and it will remain Kittens ball. But the Belaire Bengals defense is keeping the score very manageable,
and that's what's keeping them in there. They're pretty much, and there it is again, another steal. But the Kittens recover the ball, gets the ball back out to Sheldon Carroll, which is only 20 seconds left in the third period. The score is 27-22. They have a 5-point lead.
I was going to say, Coach Clark called for the pick. Good job getting there trying to move it, but they didn't get the open space. Carroll goes up, kind of forced that shot, and they're going to call a block. And that was another recurring theme. Belaire's defense seems to be in the building. The offense needs a little work, but here was the second half of the game where it kind of Southern Lab took over. And here come the Bengals. There's a high kick by Bradley over to Robillard into the corner for Terrence Johnson. Johnson putting the ball back on the ground, and they're going to roll it around. And Robillard from the foul line kicks out to Bradley for three. Rims off, no good. Rebound, Southern Lab. Oh, Joe Robillard again not ready for it. That's twice we've seen him kind of skip off his hands. You got to keep your eye on the prize. And Southern Lab now might be going for the jugular vein here.
And I think Belaire, about playing only a certain amount of players, is starting to wear down a little bit.
Yeah, the fat lady's starting to warm up a little bit too. I see Precious now getting admitted through the VIP entrance. See Roseanne flanking on her side, asking about her hair secrets. And, so Southern Lab, interestingly, won by the score 48-39 again over Belaire. Jordan Booker was a standout player. Joker got a few moments in with this young man. I'd be remiss if I didn't play this.
This is Gerard with Louisiana All American Sports, and I'm here with Jordan Booker of the Southern Lab Kittens. How do you feel about your game tonight?
It was all right. Wasn't really too aggressive. Looking for my teammates really, and just trying to win the game.
I saw that y'all had a lot of full court press, which created a lot of turnovers. I saw you had a lot of easier layups in the first half. The second half looked like you got fouled a lot, a couple of turnovers. So I guess that's what you mean when you was kind of not disappointed in your performance. You think you could have did it better?
I could have did a lot better. I was kind of tired, fatigued, but other than that, just trying to get the win, man.
Yeah, well, y'all definitely got the win. It looks like Belaire had you all had a kind of careless turnovers. It seemed like at first you was excited until you guys had to settle down a little bit. But as you settled down and their point guard went down, it looked like you kind of put your foot on the gas and everything, and you saw your teammates and everything. So are you guys ready to go forward into district play?
Most definitely. We not trying to look back on anything. Just keep practicing hard, working hard every day, coming in, doing what we got to do, and just trying to get to the championship.
Well, that's what's up, man. I appreciate you talking to me, and we'll be seeing you again, man. Good job tonight. Thank you.
And whoopsie daisy, good job by Joker getting those words in with that young fella. That's a talented player, talented team. A lot of good basketball in the Baton Rouge metropolitan area. Yeah. Perry has an announcement on the gridiron that I'm actually very about another kid we mentioned a lot on the show. But Joker, just real quick reflections on last night's Southern Belaire game.
Last night was actually a very good game. Tim Johnson went down for Belaire with the point guard, and that seemed to be the downfall of them. They had good defense, though. That's what kept them in the game with Southern Lab kids. They was kind of overmatched a little bit by size, which Southern Lab had on them. But Belaire scratched, and they clawed, and I commend their effort. And that's pretty much what I saw. But just overall, Southern Lab kind of just warmed down.
Yeah, Southern Lab, I think there's that team could be going some places in classification 1A. Coach Perry Daniels has an announcement about a young man that we've mentioned several times on the show and also several times during the broadcast of this high school's games. Perry, take it away.
Last week, 6'2", 280-pound defensive lineman for the McKinley Panthers signed a scholarship with Yale University to play football.
Wow.
And they don't just let anybody up in there.
And you know what? This is the second player in the last few years. We had one of the young men go to Fordham University.
Another good school.
Oh, wow, I can't. That name will come back to me in a moment. The director of the Alumni Center, Joker.
Mayweather.
Yeah.
Mayweather. Yes. Garrett Mayweather signed with the University of Fordham, and he's there now, getting playing time as a true freshman. So, we talk a lot. We criticize, the McKinley staff and their offensive inadequacy. But down there, in that part of town, you've got to give Signator credit. Even though they're not going far in the playoffs and winning a lot of football games, it's traditionally a basketball community. So as long as Signator can stay competitive and keep these young men out of trouble, the education at the school will lead these places to places like Fordham, like Yale, and it's just amazing. So we've got to give credit there.
I 100% agree, and it wouldn't be prudent to not develop the offense. Of course, I'm quoting a famous Yale graduate, former President George H.W. Bush. Maybe Daniel James will be rubbing some elbows there and get himself an insight on the real power seat. That's a fine opportunity and a great kid. Every time I met him, I'm just really fond of him. So I'm glad to hear good things about him. So we're now going to move from boys to men. We're going to take a very short break. Don't go anywhere as we have a musical break.
Yeah, we had a musical break here. And I want to thank Perry Daniels for allowing me to have a segment here with the musical break. This week's musical break. Last week I brought you KRS-One, Knowledge Reigns Supreme. I brought you You Must Learn. That was probably one of the first songs that I heard that really kind of educated me, on my own people and kind of awakened my eyes a little bit. So it kind of gave me a little bit of a hunger. I started to get into that type of music about black empowerment, and I started listening to other groups like Poor Righteous Teachers and X-Clan. So this week I'm going to play a song by X-Clan, and it's called Funkin' Lesson. And it was a song that kind of awakened me. You remember that song?
Oh, Perry? I do. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
And here we go. Don't go anywhere.
We'll
be back in a couple of minutes here on 96.9 FM, WHYRLP, Baton Rouge Community Radio. You're listening to the Louisiana All American Sports Show.
Peace. I'm called Professor X, the Overseer. In the early 1900s, a brother set out on voyage. His mission, black nationalism. His oath, freedom or death. In the 60s, brothers like Stokely Carmichael, H. Rap Brown. The mission, black nationalism. The oath, freedom or death. In the 90s, the mission, black nationalism. The messengers, X-Clan. The movement, Black Watch. The oath, freedom or death. By the way,
freedom or death, you shall all be moved. Vanguardists, this is protected by the red, the black, and the green. With the key.
More than red, black, and green. You ask what I mean. But yet the sundial shades and life's a dream. Watch too late, oops, upside your head. You drop through abyss like lead.
Oops, upside your head, like lead, the red, the black, the green. And if you listen to X-Clan, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, that was a good Joker. Thanks for that musical interlude. I always like to drop a little knowledge here on Louisiana All American Sports. You know, we got a history class. We have high school kids. It's about learning. And we're a radio station. We play music, but hey, the music, you know, it's good to teach something every now and then.
That's right.
All right, so.
That's what we do, you know?
Yes, sir. Now, we got some action as we're going from the boys to the young men, as we had some action on the Bluff last week. The Southern University Jaguars they hosted the Prairie View Panthers. They busted out the whooping stick on them. Southern won that game. Traylon Banks from Scotlandville High School, real standout there. He's really standing out on the team. He's the son of Coach Roman Banks. Traylon Banks racked up 17 points. He also contributed with 2 rebounds and 3 assists, but he is really, and also stole the ball 4 times. He is really continuing to develop. We've watched him since he was in high school, and we're watching him go from a boy to a man, and he's really playing like a man. His game is developing really well. Southern also playing some pretty good defense. They're rebounding the ball a lot better than they did last year. They won that game against Prairie View 68-56, very convincing fashion. They hosted a comparable opponent in Texas Southern. That game was on ESPNU before the eyes of the nation. Why tell you when I can show you? That game had a nail-biting finish. Here we go. I said it had a nail-biting finish. Here we go.
It's a good job putting Nick Shepard, because you don't want to give the passer, the most important player, a clear sight.
Joel Hopkins will try and throw it in. He's one in the direction of Rogers. Rogers throws it up, but it came, I believe, after the horn.
There's no way they're going to be able to count that, because he caught it and then went down. There's no way that you can catch it, go down, and then go with the shot. This has been a crazy game.
Southern is celebrating what they think is a victory. The Tigers saying, no way.
Yeah,
Mike Davis throwing his hands to his side saying this can't possibly count. No. With a catch, a land, and a shot with only 0.5 on the clock when we started.
And that was how it ended. Adrian Rogers' Hail Mary was more of a fail Mary. They couldn't quite replicate the Grant Hill to Christian Leitner action. Critical foul by Jared Sam, also of Scotlandville High School. At the end of the game, on Chris, with less than a second to go, on Chris Thomas. Thomas just made 1 foul shot. That score was tied beforehand. So Southern let that one slip. They've got to work on finishing these games against these in-conference opponents, as that drops their record in SWAC play to 1-1. But the good news, and Professor, if you're listening, your alma mater might be crying a few tears today, because they go to Grambling to face the Tigers. And while the Tigers football program had a renaissance, the basketball program has done no such thing. They are 2-10 on the year, 0-2 in conference play. I think those 2 wins were against high school teams, or it might have been Lighthouse for the Blind, or Little Sisters of the Poor.
We have been hearing T talk about it. No, man, during football season, I heard about Grambling every week, seemed like, but I've been hearing crickets when it comes to the basketball team.
And the crickets will continue. As Southern University goes to Grambling today, they face the Tigers. That should be an easy win for the Jaguars against Grambling. Grambling just, look, the whole athletic program has a lot of rebuilding to do. It's started on the gridiron, but the hardwood is just not there yet. I don't know. I think Chad Williams, who's on the wide receiver on the football team, ought to offer his services. He's a heck of a basketball player, was an all-state player, but Chad Williams was like, I said, Chad, you gonna play football? He was like, no. He wanted no part of that ship with all the holes in it. He didn't want to do any carpentry work there.
Well, he took a football team, and he did an absolutely great job.
That kid
from where they came from last year.
Yeah.
You know, so
that young man.
You know what, though, Eric? If I can say, man, the Texas Southern basketball team is a really good basketball team. They went to Michigan State, beat Michigan State. They went to Kansas State, Kansas State. So for Southern to play them the way that they did just tells you the caliber of team that you have at Southern University. Now let me say this: that Coach Banks is basically building brick out of straw. Because of the and they're just missing height. So, but they've got guards that can play with the best guards in the nation. So, unfortunately, it'll all be for naught because the NCAA announced last week that they're extending the probation, that Southern will still be on probation, so they're ineligible for postseason play once again.
That's really disappointing.
Yeah, that is.
That game, by the way, you can hear tonight at 5 o'clock our time on Wink 97.7 FM. There's no internet or TV footage of that game. And also Southern on Monday will play Jackson State University. I believe that game, it's going to be 7:30 on Monday. That game is either going to be, actually no, it will not be on because it's going to conflict with the national championship game. I think it might be on ESPN3 or ESPNU, but chances are I think everybody except for the kids and their parents will be tuned into some other action, which we're going to get to shortly. But nonetheless, some really good, that team is going places like Southwest, I don't forget which airline. Anyway, Jared Sam, averaging 4 rebounds a game. That's the young man from Scotlandville. Traylon Banks averaging 3 dimes a game. And like I said, when he starts to put on his scoring, he puts it on in bunches, picking up 17 points. So we're going to keep an eye on those Jaguars, as they should have. Like I said, they should have a win today. And then we go to the other side of town, rolling swiftly, moving quickly in the hoop ride, which I'd have rather broken down on the way to watching this game. LSU faced Missouri. I guess I've been a minimalist today because I'm finding little short clips that can summarize the entire game. Here's 45 seconds that summarized 40 minutes of basketball from LSU, Missouri. I don't think I could say it any better than this fellow at ESPN.
Wow.
Let's go. Here we go.
I don't understand that foul by Josh Gray. That's a head scratch. A 1-point game with 55 seconds left to go. He fouled the best free throw shooter at midcourt for no apparent reason. And that, to me, if Missouri goes on to win this game, you're going to credit Missouri for their concerted effort. But I think if you're LSU, what you're going to talk about is the mental lapses, the mental breakdowns, the unforced errors, the poor turnovers, the poor decisions offensively, and then that foul right there. There's no need.
LSU led by as many as 11 points earlier in this contest. They were up by 3 at halftime. But Missouri chipped away and actually had a chance to win the game in regulation. But it was Keith Hornsby, number 4 in purple, that came up big with about 10 seconds to go.
Keith Hornsby sent it to overtime, but LSU couldn't muster a single field goal in the overtime period. They knocked in a couple of free throws, and Missouri pulled out the claws, and those Tigers defeated our Tigers. I'm getting a little frustrated y'all know, cut me, I bleed purple and gold. I've said that a million times, but this act is getting stale, though, with the LSU Tigers basketball team. Last year, their core, you had Johnny O'Brien, and you had a core of freshmen, so you could understand the learning curve. They made it to the NIT, first postseason appearance they'd had in a couple of years. That was progress, but this year, this team should not be blowing road wins that they have in their hand. They had a chance. They looked like they were going to run away from that game, run away from Missouri early. They let them hang around. The Missouri took over the game, so they let a conference road win get away against an inferior opponent. Missouri has got a lot of. I don't want to say rebuilding, but they're okay at best. They're not the Missouri of old when they were in the Big 12. They got some building to do, and LSU just gave that game away. Jarrell Martin of Madison Prep Academy, he fouled out late in the game, and that pretty much sealed LSU's fate.
Yeah, he did.
That front court is too talented. They've got to step it up. They have the University of Georgia today at the PMAC. LSU's got more talent. Georgia does have more experience, but the way Georgia plays, they know that they are at a disadvantage, and they play hungry all the time. I'm not seeing that out of LSU. That's got to change this year.
It's going to have to change. And Martin, and like you said, those guys are too talented. They've been kind of underachieving the last couple of games from what I saw. I was expecting a little bit more this year with these guys, especially in that conference, SEC with Kentucky. So, I mean, you just have to – you can't let conference games slip away from you like that, especially get a team like Missouri. So I'm just very disappointed in them. But, hey, let's see what they do today against Georgia. Maybe they can rebound.
Don't underestimate how intimidating of a place that Missouri is to play. They have a rich basketball history, and that this is the real reason Missouri is in the SEC. They've just been surprisingly successful on the gridiron.
You're right, too, man. I mean, we thought like when Missouri and Texas A&M was coming in, we thought they was going to be like the whooping sticks of the SEC, and man, they came in and
I never saw that coming.
And Missouri, yeah.
I mean, two consecutive Eastern Division titles. They're actually the cream of that weaker side on the gridiron.
Absolutely. So I anticipate the LSU basketball team will play a lot differently at home where they're used to being. I think you'll see them be a little more successful today, and I think they're going to pull off the upset against Georgia.
I don't even know if you call it an upset, but I do expect them to win that game, that's for sure. I guess maybe a rebound against Georgia we can call it, but I do expect them to win. That game is at 8 o'clock tonight, our time, on ESPN. Of course, I'll be watching another sport, but I will keep an eye on that game. Piper, Yenny, you want to go make, since Perry and I made picks and we're kind of getting to that part of the show, you want to pick one for LSU, Uga?
LSU.
Alrighty, so we're all in agreement on that one. Also want to talk about some other Louisiana talent. Got to talk about the University of Louisiana Lafayette. First of all, they have 3 kids that we covered a lot in high school on Louisiana All American Sports, now at the college level. Jonathan Stove of the Christian Life Academy Crusaders. He is with Ooh La La. He is averaging 5 points per game and I believe 2 rebounds per game if memory serves. And also Bryce Washington, who played at St. Aug in New Orleans. Also, he wore number 32, and he's a big dude, and he's about 6'8", 6'9". Who else wore purple and gold, 6'9", nowhere number 32? Magic Johnson even looked a little bit like him, and maybe one day his game will elevate there, but he's also contributing as a freshman. He's averaging, I have it actually jotted down, Bryce Washington is averaging 5 points per game and 5 rebounds a game. Scott Plaisance, who played at Country Day in Mary, we had Metairie Park Country Day a couple of times on Louisiana All American Sports.com. He's a freshman. He has not played yet this season. Speaking of New Orleans, Tulane University will host South Florida tomorrow at the Delvin Fieldhouse at 2 p.m. That game will be on ESPN 3. So the Raging Cajuns, by the way, are rocking. If you get a chance to see them, if they come on television or if they come online, you should really check them out. They have only lost 4 games this season. They are rocking and rolling and rolling and rocking. Their next game will be at Georgia Southern at 6:30 on January the 15th. So be sure to check out the Raging Cajuns. And one last note on the college front. Oh, actually, before I go there, Perry, you coached. You worked with Jonathan Stove. Any quick remarks you wanted to get in on him?
One of my favorite human beings on the planet. I love the young man.
That is summed up well in in a sentence. Great kid, hard worker.
He's just a great kid, man. His work ethic is just tremendous. He's extremely coachable, and it's just this is no surprise that he's having this much success on the college level.
And one last note on the college before we go from the institutions of learning up to where the men get paid. Kenny Trill, boy, how the mighty fall fast. Kenny Hill, who got the nickname Kenny Trill after lighting up the South Carolina Gamecocks on opening night in last year's college football season, breaking Johnny Manziel's school record with a 511-yard, 3-touchdown performance. Couldn't follow it up, lost some games very, very badly, was finally replaced by Kyle Allen in November, who was able to salvage some wins against ULM, Auburn, and West Virginia to get that team bowl eligible. Kyle Allen has pretty much taken over that position. Kenny Trill was released from his scholarship obligations. The speculation on the street is that he's likely to transfer to TCU, but of course they have Boykin, the quarterback there, so I don't know how much action he's going to get, but maybe he can get some more playing time in a rotating position or a hybrid position, but Kenny Trill leaving Texas A&M. So, I never saw that coming. I thought he was going to be the next coming of Johnny Manziel. Some of the writers said, give it some time. I told you so. He wasn't going to be all that, and I guess I was wrong. But here's our usual segment of I Told You So, as we see who swung and missed and who hit one out of the park on I Told You So.
Uh-oh.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say will happen when I told you? Exactly what just happened.
Hey, if you got a minute, do you want to make this is a sports show? If you can make some playoff picks today, if you like.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Arizona +7 over the Panthers.
Ooh.
And I'm going to say the Ravens +3 over the Steelers.
Whoa. Baltimore goes to Pittsburgh at Heinz Field. That's the Sunday night football game tonight. That game is always a bloodbath. I'm sure they have nightsticks and billy clubs and metal detectors at the locker rooms. But the way Pittsburgh's playing, the way Roethlisberger's playing, I'm taking the Steelers.
No.
Big game. My brother's a Steelers fan. I'm going with the Ravens.
Yeah.
Oh, Professor, who you got?
Ravens.
All right, Cincinnati Bengals facing the Indianapolis Colts at Lucas Oil Stadium. The Bengals have their fourth straight trip to the playoffs, and then I think it's going to be their fourth straight first-round loss. I just think Andrew Luck is too much.
I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals. Jeremy Hill, the rush game. I think this team is starting to come together now.
I'm going with the Bengals as well. But, man, Andy Dalton is the one that's turnover prone.
Arizona Cardinals, boy, that team, they got such a promising start. When you lose two quarterbacks, you're in a pickle. They go to Bank of America Stadium at 3:20 our time today on ESPN to face the Panthers. I hate to see a team bow out of the playoffs like this, but I like the Panthers in this game.
You already know who I'm going with.
Cam!
Oh, Cam!
Yeah.
Professor?
I'm gonna go with. I'm not going with Cam, man. I'm going with Arizona, man.
All right, so he likes that defense and maybe a little bit.
Diamondback.
Maybe a little.
Remember?
maybe. Detroit Lions going to Dallas at AT&T Stadium tomorrow. That's the late game on Fox. I'm going to pick the Cowboys, but I wouldn't bet any of my money on that.
Got to pick the Cowboys. I mean, Detroit really has shown me nothing really this year, to tell you the truth.
Professor?
I'm going with Megatron, and we're going to transform, and Romo's going to be exposed. He's a fluke, and it's just been he has a rabbit foot in his pocket. Megatron Autobots roll out. I'm going with Megatron. You and the professor are going to have a conversation.
You've been having a bad year, Professor.
So as we get ready to go from the trivial to the thought-provoking, Gerard Piper has a local business owner on the line. It's going to be kind of a regular segment here on the show. It's here we go.
Black.
Yes.
Black. Black.
Love it is a love black thing.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Welcome, audience out there. This week's on this segment, we're going to feature a friend of mine. Her name is Chanel Jarman. She's here locally from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Chanel, are you there?
Yes, I am.
And how are you today?
I'm wonderful.
Well, that's good. That's good. So glad that you to hear from you again. I wanted to ask you a few questions. We try to feature black entrepreneurs here in the Baton Rouge area. I've known you for a long time. I've known you for always to be a person to be a trendsetter, a person that always goes out and leads by example. And I want to ask you first, when did you get started, and what type of business do you do?
I am a hairstylist. I've been in the business for about 27 years. And I got started at the age of 17. I enrolled in beauty school.
Oh, really? That's great. That's great. And what was the name of your business?
The name of my business is The Look by Chanel Hair Studio.
Oh, is that right? And how long have you been operating that business?
For about 5 years now.
Wow. That's awesome, Chanel. What are the hours of your operation? Do y'all work weekends during the days? Or what's the schedule?
Well, I'm open 7 days a week. I'll take appointments on Sundays, but Monday through Saturday, I'm in there from 9 o'clock until 6 or 7.
Wow, that's awesome. Do you have any type of like website or Facebook where people can, reach out to you or find you?
I have Facebook. It's Jorman Chanel Jorman Chanel, and I do have a email, and it's BigRedDiva16Chanel@gmail.com.
Could you spell Jorman Chanel for the audience, please?
JARMONCHANEL.
Oh, that's great. I want to thank you for talking to you today. I want to thank you for calling in. I don't know if you was a sports fan. I'm pretty sure you are. I know you was an alumni of McKinley High Panthers. And also, she's also a board member of Club True Blue. You want to talk about the Mardi Gras ball that they're going to have?
Well, I'm just so excited about it. It's June 31st, and I'm just looking forward to seeing a lot of classmates that we haven't seen in a long time, and, hoping that everybody support us like, we expect to. We always try to do something to give back to the community or, improve, and I'm thinking that, I know that this Mardi Gras ball will open doors for other events, for the McKinley alumni to have, and I'm just hoping everybody participate.
Saturday, January 31st, folks. Step on up.
Step on up.
Coach Perry Daniels, I just want to say peace, good sister. We really appreciate what you're doing.
And finally, look, if you are a football fan, do you plan on watching any of the games today?
Yeah, I'm a Dallas fan.
All right. So Dallas, they got a big game tomorrow. The Dallas Cowboys, America's team, and they will be going to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field to face Aaron Rodgers and the Packers on Fox tomorrow at noon. Who do you like in that game, Chanel?
Who do I like where in the game?
Yeah, who do you think's going to win?
I like Dallas. I don't do anybody else but Dallas.
How about them Cowboys? Poor Professor. Professor Johnson is not on the show today. He's a Packers fan. Oh boy, it's to his chagrin. Chanel, thank you so very much for joining us today. We love to extend what's going on in the community and people who are doing positive things in the community, and we thank you for your service to the community.
Thank you for having me.
All righty.
Thanks again.
So that's awesome. So yeah, also we like to get some of the ladies on the show, get a little female flavor in there sometimes. As is, it's so testosterone driven here in the studio. But now we're back from the real life stuff, back to the man stuff, the testosterone.
Eric, before we jump into that, which I know we have to do real quickly, but in 10 minutes, what's coming up?
We got Noel Jackson with Music Satisfaction. Here on 96.9 FM WHYRLP Baton Rouge Community Radio. So speaking of the world of professional sports where people get paid, we are definitely going to talk about our America's second religion. But momentarily, I want to talk about somebody who got paid in sports, who made a difference in sports, was a personal influence in my life. One of the inspirations for me getting behind a microphone. Stuart Scott, longtime ESPN anchor, passed away last Sunday at the age of 49. I just wanted to offer a few reflections on this gentleman who, I tell you, caught my attention right away, made a SportsCenter appointment viewing for me. Here's a brief reflection on Stuart Scott. We'll go around the horn real quick before going to the NFL.
I have some very sad news to report to you this morning. Our colleague, our friend, and our inspiration, Stuart Scott, passed away earlier tonight.
Oh yeah! And let me tell you, his wasn't the only one tonight. SportsCenter starts time right about now.
Ken Griffey Jr. waiting.
Booyah! Derek Jeter in first. Booyah! Alex Rodriguez, second homer in 2 nights. Slow your roll, kid.
But Michael is butter because he's on a roll.
That's horrid. Again, though, not as bad as Carl Lewis. At least Finney can sing. Finney's a rap mogul. Finney can rap. Carl Lewis threw that thing down, and he's street cred now after that. Is that street cred or not? Well, the brothers ain't playing baseball in the street, so he still got street cred. He just ain't got no baseball cred.
Guaranteed. Swoops with the steal. Swoops, there it is. On the ballot where the party at. Swoops, there it is.
Stuart Scott, going too soon at 49.
Wow. What a tribute, Eric. trip.
Look, I know we only have a few minutes left, but if y'all want to kick in something real quick on Mr. Scott, by all means, this is opportunity for it.
Absolutely, man. Here's what I'd like to say. The beauty of the story is that he brought his authenticity and his heritage, his background to the set. And you've got to give credit to ESPN because they allowed him to do that.
They rolled the dice, man.
Right.
And that should be a representation, a model for businesses here in America, that you should allow people to bring who they are to the table in its true authenticity. Don't try to force circles into square pegs.
I 100% agree, Perry. That's I couldn't have said it any better. Well, look, one thing, Stuart Scott had a variety of he brought it all in the entire field of sports.
Yes.
Interestingly, I mean, honestly, it's just coincidence that there were a lot of baseball clips there, but I guess when I was looking for good stuff to play, that's where he was the most clever, really, was with the diamond. I kind of accidentally discovered that, but he was as cool as the other side of the pillow, and he will be missed. But I'll tell you, one passion he had is the one that most men in America have, and that is for the National Football League. First game we're going to talk about tonight is Sunday Night Football on NBC, as we have the Baltimore Ravens pulling off a minor upset of their arch rival Pittsburgh Steelers at Heinz Field. What is the they got the booby prizes. They get to travel to Foxborough Stadium to take on Tom Terrific and the New England Patriots. The only wrinkle in that is that Baltimore might be the only team that's had any luck against New England in the postseason at Foxborough. I don't think it continues today. New England is just playing too well. Tom Brady is lights out, and I'm not a Patriots fan. Everybody who knows me personally knows that, but I can't hate Tom Terrific.
That's right. Well, you have to, you can't go with your heart all the time. I look at this game, it's going to be a very, very intriguing game. Baltimore beat them 2 out of the last 3 times in the playoffs. But I think this year, New England has retooled, and on the defensive side, they got somebody going to get on that island, which is Reva's Island, and they got Brandon Browner. They brought him in. They retooled that defense, so I think that they're ready. They're playing at home, and you got Rob Gronkowski. He's finally healthy, and Tom Brady, I think, is going to use him over the middle, and that's where I think they're going to defeat Baltimore. Even though Baltimore, I think it's going to be a close game with Steve Smith, and Torrey Smith on the outside, but I just think Tom Terrific is going to be in the zone, and I just don't think they're going to be able to overcome that defense.
Coach?
Tom Brady and the Patriots based on home field advantage.
I agree. They're almost bulletproof at Gillette Stadium. Meanwhile, on CBS, that game, Baltimore and New England again, I think I mentioned that. Don't miss it because that's tonight on NBC, this afternoon on NBC, 3:30 p.m. Indianapolis, Andrew Luck. I got to say, Indianapolis's defense looked superb against the Cincinnati Bengals last week. And while the Bengals are a mediocre passing team, great running team, if they keep that up, they might have a chance against the Denver Broncos. But they're in Invesco Field at Mile High, and I would have to be a Mile High to pick against Peyton Manning and the Broncos in the playoffs with that week of rest. And while Andrew Luck can light it up, sometimes he can get a little rattled, particularly outside. So I'm going to go with the reigning AFC champion Broncos in this game.
Broncos in this game, Peyton Manning has had a significant rest now. All of their players are healthy. The same with, they have a pass rush on the defensive side, so he's going to see something that he didn't see in Cincinnati. This is going to be and plus Peyton Manning beat him on the first game of the year this year, so I think going into that home field Mile High, Peyton Manning all day long.
Broncos.
I totally agree. And in action tomorrow afternoon, the noon game will be the Dallas Cowboys. They go to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Now, while Professor's not here, I already know Professor's going to pick Green Bay. So if they lose, I'm going to make that his pick on I Told You So. But I'm also going to be in the same boat with the Professor. The only wrinkle there, though, is Aaron Rodgers with that calf. Man, if he has to come out like he did against the Detroit Lions at the end of the regular season, Matt Flynn can hold it down, but that Cowboys defense is playing well. I do think it's the end of the road here. Not that I'm even cracking on the Cowboys, but going to play at Green Bay with that weather, that cold will take your breath away, literally. I'm going with the Packers, although a great run, a big improvement by the Cowboys this year.
This is probably the hardest game of the playoffs that I see to pick for me personally. Dallas is 8-0 on the road. They went up to Seattle and beat Seattle in Seattle. But on the other hand, Green Bay is 8-0 at home. And they beat New England that came in to Green Bay and try to beat them. So, man, this is a grudge match. But I'm going to have to go with Aaron Rodgers. I'm kind of shaky because I don't really know how his health is at this moment. But I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers.
Coach?
Anytime there's a dictatorship in Jerry Jones versus the people of Green Bay, Wisconsin,
Good point.
always go with the people. Power to the people.
Power to the
Green Bay don't win.
Power to the people and the Packers. That was an intentional alliteration, folks. And the last game that we're going to talk about is tonight's primetime matchup in the National Football League, the Carolina Panthers and the Seattle Seahawks, the NFL on Fox. 7:15 on Fox. Carolina Panthers going up to Seattle. We have 2.5 minutes left. Cam. I think that's going to be as much as I like Guy, and it reminds me of my 8th grade years, and as much as I used to jam to that song, I think it's going to be the end of the road. They really whooped up on an Arizona team that was offensively impotent with Ryan Lindley at quarterback. The defense for the Panthers has improved markedly in the last 5 to 6 weeks, and that can be a problem for Seattle's passing game, but I just think beast mode and the way Russell Wilson can extend plays with his feet and the way that the Seattle Seahawks have been like I almost said Panthers, pythons with that vice grip. I think they're going to choke the life out of the Panthers and their playoff run. I like Seattle, and actually I like Seattle in a romp today at the 12th man.
Well, man, it's hard to go against Cam, and I look up and it's a bird, it's a plane. Yes, it is a bird. It's a Seahawk. And that's what it is. The Seahawks had the best defense in the playoffs. They have the best run game in the playoffs. I mean, that's my Super Bowl pick, so I can't go against Seattle, even though much as I love Cam. So, hey, beast mode, Seattle, 12th man,
Seattle all the way.
Seattle.
I think that sums it up rather nicely. So once again, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the end of our journey. Piper, you got anything for the folks before we sign off?
I just want to have say rest in peace to Stuart Scott. Also, rest in peace to Roy Tarpley.
I heard about that.
He passed away at the age of 50, and and I remember him. He had a lot of troubles, off-field issues that he had to battle, and I'm just sad to hear that. And other than that, shouts out to you guys and my family.
And as we always say around this time.
What about Perry?
Go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry.
No, hey, are we recording or are we going to do it live?
Do it live. We're going to do it live.
Do it live.
ADT, JNS, love you.
Have a good afternoon.
Peace.
Hail to the king and lots of love. May he protect us from the evil. Hail to the king, lots of love. May he protect us